Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Mr. Binns. I'm the assistant head teacher at Ashby School, and I'm going to talk you through some of the presentation this evening. I've also got with me Mr. Wickwar, who is the head of Year 10 in August, and we're working with your children as they progress through Year 10 into Year 11, and then hopefully up into sixth form, and so on and so on. What I plan to do is I'm going to talk you through a selection of the slides, and then I'm going to pass over to Mr. Wickwar. If you've got any questions, if you could post those in the chat. I've got quite a few questions that have come in previously on the email address that was sent out. If you just post the questions randomly as you think of them, then that's absolutely fine, and we will address those as we go through. Hopefully lots of your questions will be answered in the slides and in me and Mr. Wickwar talking to you, but if they're not, pop them into the chat and we will touch on those as we go through the slides and so on and so on. So yeah, first of all, I'm just going to talk about the kind of a few procedures on our return to school in August. So Year 10s and Year 11s and Year 13s will come back on Wednesday, the 25th of August. We will start with a form period, which will allow your children to get to know their form tutor. They'll do a few activities on just kind of get to know their tutor and get to know other students in the form. And it will also give us an opportunity just to do some of those tasks that we need to get done in that first hour of school, such as handing out lanyards, planners, looking at timetables, making sure the students are comfortable regarding the day ahead, regarding food and how lunch times and break times operate, and so on and so on. We're making a slight change this year in that we're asking students to come in to school a couple of minutes early, in that we're going to be starting our form period from around 8:40 onwards. Typically, if you've had siblings through the school, our start of school has typically been 8:45. We're doing a slight change this year in that we're asking our tutors to be in the classroom ready to welcome the students from 8:40 in the morning. The form period and activities will then commence from 8:45, but it'd be nice for that classroom to be filling up with students in those minutes before 8:45. So when the bell goes for the start of school, we're absolutely 100% ready to start some of those daily activities. We've had some questions coming over the last couple of weeks regarding induction and regarding form rooms and form tutors. Communication is going to be going out this week regarding the actual form room and form tutor for your children, and including that communication as well is going to be the options that your child has been given. 99% of the time students receive the options that they have chosen, but that will be confirmed to you in the communication that is going out this week, so please keep an eye out for that. And if you've got any questions, then just come back to us and we can answer those. I appreciate we break up for the summer on Friday. However, we do operate throughout the summer holiday, and we have staff in school who can answer some of your queries, no doubt. Regarding getting into school, we have two entrances. We've got one entrance on Nottingham Road, and we've got the other entrance, which is the turnstile entrance, which is near the old post box on Range Road. And we obviously have students who come in the buses and come to the bottom of school on Range Road via the bus park. If you are dropping children off in your cars on your way to work, then please be mindful of other students. It is a busy school. We've got a lot of students, and a lot of those students walk into school and can be found on local pavements and on areas around school. So just please be mindful of those, and please be mindful of local residents not driving across or parking, I should say, across their driveways when you're dropping and picking your children up. Okay, we've got just a couple of questions. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of these questions. You've got questions here regarding whether all subjects are taught in sets. It's a variety. We have a varied approach. The vast majority of our core subjects, so your English, maths, science and French, they are taught in sets, so they are streamed as such regarding higher ability down to the lower ability. Option columns, if there are two subjects on at the same time, so if we have two geography classes on at the same time, they may well have a set 1 and a set 2, or they've got the option of just having a mixed ability group across the option subjects. So sometimes it is decided by the timetable. If there are two option subjects on, it allows us to do some setting if that faculty wants to do that. But yeah, the core subjects, then they will be in their in their ability groups. Got a question about the presentation. Yeah, what we're going to do is after this evening, the next few days, we're going to put this presentation onto our school website under the parents tab. We've got an induction area where we've got some information in there, and we'll add this to that. And this Teams event is also being recorded, and we will pop that link out to you onto the emails, so that if you wanted to revisit this information that's going out tonight, then you're able to do that at your leisure, and so on and so on. We have no say in the buses. Transport is out of our hands to a certain degree, and that is with Roberts Travel. They have the contract with the school to pick the students up. The buses generally all get here on time. Buses start arriving from about 8:15 onwards, and the last bus typically arrives by 8:35 in the morning. Regarding pickups and stuff, unfortunately that is out of our hands. Providing the buses are getting to us by the start of school, then we're happy with that part of what they're offering to us, if that makes sense. So like I said, your child will start with us in August, and it's very much a 20-month journey. I know people think of it as a 2-year process, but when you take into consideration the fact that students will be sitting their exams in May, June time of year 11, we only get your children for a short period of time. And probably what's a little bit more alarming than kind of a 20-month journey is that in 16 months within your child walking through the doors into Ashby School, is that they will have to be deciding and considering their post-16 options. We don't start those conversations typically until we get towards the end of year 10 or the start of year 11. But I've just put it on there just to highlight the fact that the students aren't with us for a long period of time unless they're moving to sixth form, and the fact that every lesson counts, every day counts, every lesson counts, and you could argue that every minute of every lesson counts as well. I often say to students who I come across is that if you're not in a lesson today, you could well have been taught a topic that you well may be examined in your GCSEs or your BTEC qualifications further down the line. Attendance is crucial. You don't need me to tell you that. Attendance at school is really, really important. The government talk about a minimum expectation of around 95%, and that is certainly what our sixth form and fellow colleges often talk about as a key statistic. If you can hit 95% of time within school, you obviously have a far better chance of succeeding in the results business of getting the GCSEs and likely qualifications to set you up for your next stage of your education. So I'm just going to introduce the year 10 team now, because those are the members of staff who will be dealing with your children when they walk through the gates in August of this year. So I've introduced Mr. Wickwa, who will come on in a few minutes and speak to you on a variety of different things. We've got Mr. Benstead, who looks after student behaviour with the year 10 year group, and we've got Mrs. Lane, who looks after student wellbeing. Mr. Wickwa is supported then by 2 assistant heads of years. One who we are interviewing for on Thursday of this week, an internal advertisement, and then we've also got Miss Wright, who's been the assistant head of year for year 11 this year. She's reverting back into year 10, and she has an attendance focus. So she again will be looking at those students who are not attending as much as possible, and also rewarding those students who do attend. She may well be communicating with you in order to discuss attendance if we start to become concerned that your child is slightly slipping below those numbers that I talked about previously. So that's the year 10 team. They are all housed in one area of the school. That is an area that your child, if they came to us on induction last week from Ivanhoe or Ibstock, they would have been shown that area, and that's kind of their space for them to go if they've got any concerns, or if they need information, or if they've lost anything, or they're struggling to find something in school or access something in school. That is an area where those children can go to in order to resolve some of those issues. I'm now just going to talk about support in general for the students who choose their the next step to come to Ashby School. The form tutors are a really, really important role in school. It's that member of staff who sees your child first thing in the morning, every single day of the week. They will often pick up on any concerns. They will form that relationship early on with your children, and I'm hoping that over time it becomes a person who your child is able to have positive conversations with, and is able to kind of talk through their day or the previous day in order to resolve any of those issues. That will be a member of staff who is in communication with you every now and again if need be. But like I said, it's the person who starts the day off for your child. It's the person who makes sure that your child is suitable in uniform, has got the right equipment, is reminding to kind of put money on their card, is doing the late bus if your child needs a late bus after school, and so on. We've also got the school nurse and the school counsellor. We're very lucky as a school that we put a lot of funding into our pastoral side of school, and it means that we have people on site in school that students are able to access if they need that support. We have a school nurse who works 2 days a week and can be referred to if a student is struggling, and we have a school counsellor who does 3 days a week, and one of those days is purely focused on supporting Year 10 students if they're struggling with something specific inside of school or potentially something outside of school that is really impacting how they're getting on in school from an academic or from a personal point of view or from an attendance point of view. We also have a wellbeing officer, and she is employed directly by the school, and she is a full-time member of staff. And again, that is a member of staff who is an ex-year tutor, so has got real experience in working with students in order to support them with a variety of different needs that student may have. We have a careers advisor. So again, when we're talking about post-16 options and students are potentially struggling with what their next steps are going to be, they're able to be referred for an appointment with our careers advisor, who can map out the options that a student might need in order to kind of their post-16, and that could be moving into our sixth form or A levels to potentially choose, or it could be doing some research on behalf of the student of the different colleges in the area, the different courses, the different entry requirements, the different bus routes, transport, and so on and so on. It's a really useful service. The vast majority of schools have them and use them, obviously, but as your child kind of moves into Year 10 and Year 11, it's something that's very new for them, because it's not something they would have experienced as they move through high school, is having those sit-down appointments and then a follow-up report that is given to them, that is emailed to them, that they can come home, they can show to parents and carers at home and have those conversations regarding kind of what comes next potentially after Ashby School. We have a member of staff called Mrs. Tolley, and she operates our pupil premium side of the school. So again, if you're in receipt of pupil premium as you've moved through primary school and through the high school, then again that will move with you, and that funding moves with your child into Ashby School. So it just means that we can support your child with a variety of different things that can range from kind of small things such as potential purchase of uniform, buying of resources, buying a new card, buying a new lanyard, supporting with trips, educational visits, and so on and so on, some tutoring if your child is struggling. Then that funding is able to be used for a wide range of things, but it is there to support your child. There was information in the induction booklet that was sent out a few weeks ago. And Miss Tolley had put together a page about pupil premium, so please make sure that if you are eligible that you are claiming for that, because it is a sizable amount of money that can be used to support your child whilst they're at Ashby School. We have a person who we use quite a lot called Cameron Parker. If you've had children who've gone through the school in the last couple of years, whether that's sixth form or Key Stage 4, you may well have come across Cameron Parker. He may well have supported your child through challenging times or through their GCSEs, or you may well in fact have attended one of the parent online sessions that Cameron ran. He ran loads of sessions during our time away from school during lockdown in order to support the parents of our children, for them to work with their children on work or activities away from school, or to support them with their mental health and their well-being. We pay him to come into school. He'll be doing 16 days in school next year, and again it could be a person who supports your child if they're struggling, or if they're starting to become disengaged, or their attendance is starting to slip. He's a real motivating person who can work with individuals, small groups, or even whole groups in the past to try and engage them and make sure that they're on the right path. We had a couple of questions come in on the email regarding catch-up funding and how we use that as a school. It's a relatively new thing because it's only kind of come about through the pandemic of the last 16 months, but schools have been given a certain amount of funding depending on the size of a school in order to support various things in school, but also to try and catch up some of those students who may have fallen behind either in year 9, year 10 or year 11. At the moment, we've put a large chunk of that into our learning side, our teacher and learning side, in that we've subscribed to a package called GCSE Pod that all of our year 10s and year 11s can use inside or away from school, especially if we're in a lockdown situation. And that will cover all different subjects, loads of different resources, loads of live lessons, loads of podcasts that students can use away from school and to be supported by parents if they're learning, and if they're away from school due to self-isolation, or if they're behind with any of their work, they can use that to support them hopefully get back on track. What we've also done as a school previously is that we've purchased a lot of school laptops. In the last lockdown, we provided over 140 laptops to our students in year 10, year 11 and sixth form in order to support them with their home learning, and some of those students have kept those laptops in order to kind of support with them away from school. Even though we're back in school, they're using those to access GCSE Pod and some of their kind of to do some of their homework and some of their coursework that they might be given. We've also used it this year to put some extra staffing into our maths and English faculties, so we're overstaffed in those areas, and it means that we're able to provide smaller group works in those two core subjects, and we're also able to offer some tuition at different times of the day for those students who potentially have fallen a little bit behind in maths and English as they've kind of moved through year 9 or into our current year 10 students. So it just means that we're able to give a slightly more bespoke package rather than just the kind of the mainstream teaching that would typically take place on their timetable. It means we can do some withdrawal groups to try and give them a bit of a boost in their English and their maths. We've had a couple of queries come in about monitoring progress and how we do that as a school. It's pretty typical to most schools, really. We do our grade sweeps over a period of time. We make sure that they're well spaced between those, so that we've got enough information to try and accurately give an accurate, true reflection of where the students are at with their learning, when I'm talking academic qualifications wise. What we also do is we do a termly email that your child's tutor will email to you, and that will cover pastoral themes. If there's any concerns regarding punctuality to form, or any general lateness to lessons, or any kind of queries regarding uniform or equipment, or how are they joining in with form activities. So they will just give you a bit of a general overview about how your child has settled into the school and how they're getting on, just with kind of the relatively pastoral side of things. It won't really be an academic, because your form tutor won't have a great overview of your child's academic. That would come through the grades and the reporting systems that we have in place. So our first parents' evening for our year 10s is in October, and I appreciate that's quite early on, but we feel that that's an important time for parents to come into school, or whether we do it online like we have done this year, to get an initial kind of a 2-month picture of how your child has settled in a new school and how they're getting on in their variety of different qualifications, whether that's GCSE, BTECs or Cambridge Nationals. So a report will go home in October, and that will be followed by a formal parents' evening. What we then do is 2 other times during the year. We then space them out to March and July. The one in July is especially important, because that will have a grade on that report, which will signify how well the students have done in their first set of formal assessments, which is their mock exams. So where students will be practicing their formal examinations in exam seats, in exam halls, to try and give them that real life experience of the year that would be coming afterwards. And that grade's an important grade, because it will give staff, students and yourselves a really good indication of how your child has kind of functioned in those first 7 or 8 months at Ashby School, and how they've coped with that whole exam process, from the revision process to actually doing 1 or 2 exams a day, and then over kind of a 10-day period where they'll have sat 10, 12, 13 examinations. So we feel it's a really worthwhile process, and it certainly gives the students a really good idea for the following summer when they're sitting their actual GCSE and other qualification exams. We had a couple of questions come in regarding option choices. What we do as a school is that we appreciate when students make their option choices in kind of January, February of year 9, is that people do change. People change opinions over a period of time. So what we generally allow students is a 2-week window in order to change their option choices. We feel that gives the students enough time to be able to experience those lessons that they've chosen to study, and if they're feeling it's not quite right, or the content is not what they expected, or their friends are saying no, this subject and you'd really enjoy doing this subject, for example, then we do allow a 2-week window to move a student into another subject. There's obviously got to be room in the other subject for that to be done. And we've also got to be mindful of major changes to a child's timetable just because they want to move one subject. Sometimes choosing a different subject can impact quite a few other subjects on the student's timetable, because in a cohort of 500 students, as you can imagine, doing a timetable is quite a complicated process, and sometimes one movement with one subject can mean 2 or 3 movements elsewhere. So you've got to look at the big picture, but more often than not, we can facilitate those changes. I've put a name there, Mr. Newman. Mr. Newman runs our timetable and options, so there's an email address there. So if your child or if yourself want to kind of take ownership of that in those first couple of weeks, then please drop Mr. Newman an email. And what we also say to students on that first day back is pass that information on to your form tutor, and they can do those kind of that passing on of information to Mr. Newman as well. So they can also go through the form tutor to pass that information on. Quite a lot of students do change their subject choices over a period of time, but it's really important to try and limit it to those first 2 weeks so that they don't fall behind if they do happen to move into a different subject. Okay, I'm gonna pass on to Mr. Wickwar now, the head of the year, and he's going to talk you through the rest of the slides. If a question comes in, if you want to post any more questions in the chat, we've had a few that I've responded to, and I'll keep on responding to those regarding. In fact, I'll do a couple of those. I'll do a couple of those now. Yeah, the form's now bubble free. We've kind of because our year 11s left a couple of weeks ago when they've kind of done their formal examinations. We're literally operating with one year group in school at the moment, which is year 10. Our year 12s are on the opposite side of the school, which is where the sixth form is based. We plan, if everything goes according to plan, that come August, that year 10s and year 11s will both be in school together and be able to access very, very similar parts of the school together. Until we hear otherwise, that is our plan. If you've had siblings through the school in the last year, you will know that we had a fence line through the middle of the school in order to keep year 10s and year 11s apart. Since year 11s have gone, that fencing has come down, and hopefully come September, both year groups are able to be amongst each other. We will probably have a one-way system in place, which is what we've got at the moment for our students. But regarding masks and other kind of COVID measures, we are waiting for the government to release some information over the next week or 2 weeks. Got to remember that in Leicestershire, we kind of break up this Friday, but the vast majority of local authorities don't finish until next Friday. So they often forget about the fact that Leicestershire finished this Friday, and we're probably expecting that information to possibly come out next week, and we'll have to just to work from that. But a question regarding, does everyone have to pay for the bus? Yeah, the vast majority of students, if you're in catchment, then that's a no. But if you're an out of catchment student, then you do have to provide your own transport to school. What I would say is that on our school website, we have a transport section with contact details of Roberts Travel. So please do any transport queries. Please go through kind of the official company who we use to provide our transport. Someone just asked about an induction booklet. Yeah, those are all sent out to our students in school regarding that. So induction information wasn't sent out in the post. They went out via email. We sent them out to our out of catchment students in the post, and we've had a couple of people come back just saying that they didn't have access to internet or they couldn't print it out, and we've posted those ones out. If you do want one send in paper version, then please let us know as a school and we can facilitate that. The induction booklet is now on our school website under the parents tab in the year 9 induction and options tab. So if you have a look in there, but if you want one that's sending paper based, then just let us know. Yeah, if we've had a question just regarding a map of the school. The students, I believe, is the one in the planner. Yeah, there's a map of the school in the planner that the students receive on their first day. We also have quite a lot of signage around the school site as well that kind of points students in the right way. It's a common concern for students and parents alike. What I would say to you is experience tells us after a few days, after a week or so, the students will know exactly where they are and where they are going. I appreciate in that first day or those first couple of days, the students will be just concerned. What we tell the members of staff is obviously students may well be late to their lessons on their first day, on their first few days, is please be tolerant as that, as students get a feel of the school and know where they're going. It is a big site. It's been reduced in site because now Key Stage 4 is only on one side of the school, so they don't really have to worry about going to the other side of the school unless that's for their PE lesson, but they will be walked over and accompanied by PE staff for that. And what I'd just say to students is on those first few days is ask other students. There will be lots of members of staff about the school, so if they're unsure where they're going, you just to ask a member of staff, just to ask a member of the support staff, and they can either be escorted or they can just be pointed in the right direction. Yeah, we've just had a question just regarding the school pickup times. Nearly all of our buses at the moment arrive in school for 8:35. We every now and again there may be a congestion on the roads or some sort of traffic that delays those slightly, but typically over the last year or so, buses have always been in school by 8:35, which gives students enough time to jump off the bus and get towards their form time for around 8:40. Like I said earlier, form time doesn't officially start to 8:45, but what we're asking form tutors to do is to be in their forms from 8:40 to welcome those students just a couple of minutes early for those students who are coming into school for that time. We've also just got a question regarding expectation on what the students wear during PE. Mr. Whitwire, because he's also a PE teacher, he will talk through that as well. In fact, I've seen a second question just come in regarding PE kits, so Mr. Whitwire will talk you through that when I pass over to him now.
Good evening. Hopefully if your child managed to come last Wednesday and last Thursday to induction, hopefully they had a real positive experience, and hopefully they should know some of this what we're about to go through. So the first thing is all about the security and cashless card which they received on their induction day. They'll all receive this on their first day in a tutor time period come Wednesday 25th of August when they start. This gets them into all the doors throughout the whole school. This will help them pay for the food, and it's quite easy to do on WisePay. There's a link on the website for WisePay as well. Hopefully they'll all keep them on them at all times, around the neck preferably, so they're easily identifiable around school. But if they do lose them, there is a small charge for them, but they will be given a lanyard and a card on the first day in their first tutor time period as well, and that's for various things which I've just stated previously. With regards to break times and lunch times, this is a very common question from the students as to where they're going to socialise with their friends and where they can possibly go to. We have 3 food outlets, so we have 2 massive canteen areas for students to socialise and grab their food. We have a variety of different foods on offer, from paninis, main course meals, cold food, pasta king. We have loads of different things on offer for those students. 2 of those food outlets are inside, and then we have loads of picnic benches and canopy areas outside for students to enjoy outside, especially on those hot summer days. And there's a hut outside where they can grab something quick if they prefer. There is a breakfast option as well in one of our canteens from 8 AM if the students want to pop in and have a drink and some breakfast. That's available to them. There's obvious things within lessons. Obviously, we don't allow food or anything like that. Students can have their drinks out where necessary, but obviously no food is allowed within the lessons because it creates litter, and with the COVID at the moment we don't want that to spread across the tables and things like that and create a mess. Just quickly on regards to lunches, there is a single year group lunch as well now, so all of the same year group are on the same lunch every single day, so they won't be mixing with the different year groups as well, so they're always going to have their friends with them across their lunch times, which is a real positive thing. Going on to the uniform policy, so everything's on the school website and has been in the packs as well, which has been sent out. But if there is any genuine issues with regards to uniform, the first port of call is your child's form tutor. So if there is any issues, could you please contact the form tutor in the first instance, or if there's been no communication, then the form tutor will be in contact to make sure if there's anything we could possibly do or when it might be possibly rectified. All the uniform policy is on the school website to be seen, but if there is any queries, do pop us an email and we'll get back to you with regards to that. Obviously, I'll go on to PE kit as well now. So with the PE kit, we don't have any set uniform or any T-shirts to purchase. We want that young adult feel. We want to give the students the option as to what to wear. So as long as it's appropriate sportswear, appropriate footwear for activities to be within the sports hall areas, or if they're going to go outside in a hard play or fields, as long as they've got this appropriate sportswear, then we're happy with whatever that they would like. No, they have to get changed on their PE days. We give them ample amount of time to walk over, get changed. We've got plenty of facilities, so they're all going to be spaced out within the changing rooms. So no, that they'll be coming in a normal school uniform and then getting changed afterwards. And at the end of the school day, the school policy is that they have to get changed back into their blazer, shirt, and they can't go home in their PE kit either. Just a quick one on school equipment. So we just want to get the basics right, really. The students want to be prepared. We want the students to be successful throughout their time with us. So we've already mentioned about planners, but it's just the basics of pens, pencils. We want them to come into lessons, get stuck in, be engaged from the off, rather than having to scurry around for a pen or any other bits and pieces what they might need for their lesson. For science and maths lessons, it is really important that they have a calculator with them. They can be purchased in school if you haven't already, but that is a real essential part of school equipment what you'll need. And obviously we don't want any oversized bags or undersized bags. We really want an appropriate bag to put all their books in, put the homework in, put all their equipment what they need for the day in as well, which obviously will set them off to a good start to the day every single day.
Just going to answer a couple of questions that have just come in from a couple of different people. We've had a question just regarding option choices and when your children will find out which subjects they've got. That information will be going out this week. You should receive communication this week, which will give you 3 bits of information, one of which will be the name of your tutor, because we've now completed that piece of work. So we now know who's going to be your child's tutor moving forward when they join with us. It will also indicate what room, which is really important because that's the room that they will need to go to on the Wednesday when they start with us on the 25th. So again, on induction day, we had 300 students who came to us from Ivanhoe, and because they all knew their room that they were going to previously, it made life really easy to direct those students to the different classrooms around school. So yeah, you'll get that information relatively straightforward. Just another question just regarding PE kit. Yeah, on days when you've got PE, you will come to school in your normal school uniform and you will just get changed for your PE, which I know is very different because I see Ivanhoe students in their PE kit first thing in the morning before school. But yeah, slightly different at our school is where you will go to changing rooms and you will get changed into your PE kit when you have those lessons. Just a question regarding WISE pay cards. Students were given those for induction and just because to get them around the school, because obviously we have a locked site. We then took those passes back off the students just so that we had them all ready for when the students come back to us on August the 25th. So part of that form period on Wednesday the 25th, where they'll spend a good hour with their form tutor, part of that is just making sure that all that information is going out to students, and that will include giving those students back their cards with a lanyard that they can have around their neck, and just being able to get around the school. Yeah, good question. Just had a question regarding foods being nut-free. Child has a nut allergy. So yeah, I mean, part of our conversation would be is that information is displayed from our catering staff around the school. What I would say to your child is just to make the catering staff aware of that. I'll take your kind of your name off that, so I'll be able to track it through our system regarding who your child is, so that conversation takes place. But it'd be no different to Ivanhoe or Ibstock or one of the other feeder schools. Is the information is clearly labelled, but if your son can just kind of make the canteen staff aware of that allergy, then we can kind of follow that through, so that there's no concerns. Yeah, we've got water coolers in school. We've had them closed for quite a long period of time. Just because of COVID and kind of the transmission through touching things. Our coolers are now open. They're cleaned throughout the day by our on-site cleaners who walk the school on a minute by minute basis, just kind of cleaning door handles and various points around the school that students will be touching. So we have 2 water coolers in school, one in the Cafe Express canteen and one in the other large canteen. So if students want to fill bottles up, then they can do during the school day.
So they do get a bit of an option. So unlike their high schools in PE, where they get told what sport they have to do, as PE teachers, well, our head of PE, Mr. White, he'll give us each teacher a space to work with, and then we'll kind of give them an option as to what kind of sports they might be doing. So for example, Mr. White might say, you've got the whole of the sports all up until October half term. I might go, right, we can do badminton, basketball or bench ball, and I kind of give them a bit of the option as to what they do throughout each term. And we kind of want to cater for all students so we can make it as enjoyable as possible throughout the 2 years as well. Again, giving them that young adult feel, giving them that option as to what they enjoy, so they can have that lifelong participation within physical activity.
Yeah, the copy of these slides, we're going to email this link out to the whole presentation this evening, and then these slides will be put onto our school website under the Parents tab, under the Options and Induction tab. Lots of this information is quite repetitive. I appreciate that, because it went out in the induction booklet, but some of these kind of questions as well, hopefully we've been able to answer quite a lot of those questions.
On the first day, with regards to PE kit, obviously all 500 students plus bringing their PE kit would be a little bit ridiculous. So on the first day, until they get their timetable, we won't necessarily ask them to bring their PE kit, but on that first Thursday, we would definitely expect them to bring that PE kit once they've got their timetables and everything is ready to go for PE on that second day.
We've had a question about lockers. Unfortunately, we're not able to provide lockers as a school. It's probably something that we're going to have to look to develop as we move forward by adding a key stage 3, because I think it is something that we don't have as a school. But unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have any lockers that students can put things in. What I would say is if your child is bringing anything large into school, such as a musical instrument, or is going away for the weekend on a Friday and is bringing a large bag in, then the form tutor or the year room can be a place where students can kind of put things. So yeah, unfortunately we haven't got lockers. I'm sure it's something that we're going to have to look at as we move forward. So it does mean if your child has got PE on a particular day, then they are going to have to put kind of trainers, pair of jogging bottoms, a t-shirt and hoodie into their bag, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll touch on. There's a few other questions that have come along, and we'll answer those just over these next few slides. And if not, then we'll come back and just answer a few more of the questions as we move forward.
So moving on, we have touched on this a little bit with regards to planners. They will receive them on the first day. This is to help with organisation throughout their time with us. So to input any homeworks, they can put the timetable in there as well. So you can track homeworks as well, so parents carers can track homeworks. There's any key sporting fixtures or activities, sports afternoons, or whatever there might be throughout the year. Obviously the students have a planner, a diary to use that. They'll have all of the safeguarding academic support contacts in there as well if students are unsure of where to go. And obviously there will be like a site map in there as well, and other little bits and pieces which are really useful for the students to use. Moving on to mobile phones and headphones. So students are allowed to bring phones in school, but it's all at their own risk. They must be turned off and then placed in their bags throughout the day. If a phone is to be seen or headphones are to be seen in a lesson, it will be confiscated. It is expected that parents and carers will have to pick it up at their earliest convenience from the Year 10 office. This will be open until 5 p.m. So we do encourage that students do not have phones out at all. They're not used in an educational purpose in any way, but they will not be given back to students throughout. And if they need to get hold of anyone, they can use the phone in the year office, but you will be informed if a phone has been confiscated throughout that. With regards to absences, obviously if your child is unwell, please do let the school know. There's different avenues that you can contact the school by contacting the main school number and pressing 2, or you can contact the attendance officer directly, or you can email us either way, which is best suited for yourself. Each day your child is ill, you will need to contact us again, so we can code accordingly. But if you haven't let us know, we will be messaging you as a school to make sure that to find out the reason why they are off as well. So ideally, please do let us know before the start of school. Otherwise, there will be sorry, I'm just reading some questions. Yeah, so football, it depends on the group. So usually it is on the AstroTurf hard play area. Groups can decide to go on the grass if they wish. Usually they prefer on the hard play, but when it comes to GCSE and Cambridge National, we probably will go onto the fields to see their ability range on that, and when we start to moderate and grade them on their footballing. So sign up. So Mr. Reese and Miss Wright, who is also our assistant head of year, they lead that. So there'll be memos going out to tutors throughout about Duke of Edinburgh. So it's just the case of just being aware of that, to listen to the tutor messages every single morning, ready to know when Duke of Edinburgh will start throughout the year.
Just a couple more questions just coming in. Yeah, all students will be starting on Wednesday the 25th of August. The only students who won't start on that day will be our Year 12 students. They will start the following Monday. So all students will be, our Year 10s, Year 11s and Year 13s will be in school for 8:40ish on Wednesday the 25th of August. And like I said, that first hour and a bit of a day will just be kind of going through some of the systems and process that we have at school, and getting to know other students in form time and getting to know their form tutor as well. Just had a question regarding uniform. We have 2 uniform providers. They're in the induction booklet and they're also on our school website, so please use those. There is certain parts of our uniform that must be bought through our 2 providers, which are the blazer, the tie and the skirt. White shirts, blouses, trousers, socks, tights, etc. can be bought from any of the providers, but where it's a specific school part of uniform, such as the jumper, the blazer, the tie and the skirt, then they must be bought through one of our 2 providers. There's one in Swadlincote and there's one on the Ashby High Street. Just had a question regarding the WisePay account. I will need to check that, but I'm under the impression that if you've had another child, if you've already got a WisePay account, then I think it just follows with you. But I'll need to check on that. But I'm fairly sure that if you're in Ivanhoe and you've got a WisePay account already, then that has been created. So it will just carry on for when that child moves to Ashby. So I don't think you need to worry anything about that. Our homework, yeah, lots of students will record it in their planner, so we'll just kind of a paper-based system. What we also have is MCAS, which is what I think Mr. Whitwell spoke about before, or is just about to come on to, which is our communication to parents. You'll receive login details at some stage towards the end of September. And what that is just a tool to be able to check on things such as attendance. Is your child arriving to lessons on time? Has your child received a positive or a negative mark during a particular lesson? And it also shows what homework has been set and what information regarding that homework, regarding when is it due, what does it involve, and things like that. So all that information just be communicated via MCAS, but the vast majority of students will just record it into their planner, and then they can obviously work on it as they get home. Yeah, the login details, yeah, it's same as my education, a variety of different things. We use MCAS, which is My Child at School, and those will get posted out to you at some stage. I think it normally goes out around mid-September, a couple of weeks into term, so you should get that. So just keep an eye out on that. And it's really important that you use the app as you move through the school, or your child moves through the school, because things such as our reports and any communication will also go out via MCAS. We've kind of moved away from kind of a paper-based system into that.
Yep. So following on from attendance and absences, if a child needs to leave for a doctor's appointment or anything like that, obviously please do contact the absence line, contact the year room, just to let us know, just to verify that. If we haven't got any verification of doctor's appointments or anything like that, then we will be ringing to make sure that that is the case before we let them leave the school site, and we'll let them out through the main reception area, but they will need to come to the Year 10 office, ideally before form time, just to let us know that whatever time they'll need to be leaving the school site. But again, they just need to sign out properly and give them the correct paperwork, or an email from yourselves or a phone call, just to let us know what time they will be leaving for and for what reason.
We just had a question just coming in regarding how students will find out what class or who their tutor is before she starts. That communication will be going out this week. You will receive a document that will show the name of your tutor, the form room, and it'll also show the option information that your child has been given. So like I said, keep an eye out for this week. Should be with you by the end of the week, or certainly at some stage over the weekend, and that should give you that information that your child will need for the 25th. I think PE kit, we don't expect students to bring their PE kit on day one. When they get their timetable on that very first morning, it will identify in their week when they have PE. So obviously, if they have it on the Thursday, the next day of the week, then obviously the expectation is that they would bring that in. I think such a small number would have PE on that first day, is that we don't expect students, or all 520 students in the year group, to bring their PE kit. There'll be different things that the students will be doing in PE, and getting a look at the facilities and going for a look around the area. So yeah, we don't expect students to bring PE kit just on that day one, but we obviously do expect it for the different ones. Just regarding school transport, again, if you go onto our website, there is a transport section. I'm fairly sure it'll either under general information or under the parents. If you have a look on there, and you will find the Roberts Travel email address. Obviously, you can Google it. It's also in the induction information as well, and that should be able to put you in contact with Roberts to have that conversation with them. If you struggle with that, then please contact the local authority if you're kind of got any queries regarding whether you should be given transport, or whether you will need to pay for it.
So next up is all about MCAS. We've already touched on it a little bit, but I just want to reiterate the importance of the key partnership between the school, the teachers, and working with yourselves as well. Obviously, this is an app where you can monitor attendance, homework's being set, the reports can be accessed through that, timetables, and then obviously you can note about any positive points which has been placed onto the system, or if there's any negative points which have been placed on the system, and for what reason. That's all logged on there. But we do really appreciate all the support you give to your child and you give to school, so they can reach their best possible grades and reach their potential and be really successful in their time at Ashby School. So the app is just a small step in that, but it is a real key partnership that we have together for the child to reach their potential throughout their 2 years with us. So you can download that MCAS app now, but like we said, you won't be able to log in until you get your details further down the line in September. Yeah, there has been a few questions about Duke of Edinburgh, but getting involved in extracurricular activities. We have a vast vast range of activities to get involved with. So I've already mentioned about Duke of Edinburgh, but we have an array of different sporting activities and teams which are competing in local leagues from a PE point of view. And then on our first PE lesson, students will be given a chance to find out what the extracurricular timetable is from a PE point of view. There's leadership qualifications which you do as well, but apart from PE, there is a wide range of different activities as well. So there's, at the moment, there's an orchestra rehearsing for performance. There's drama, school musicals for everyone to get involved with. And it's not just from being at the front of the stage, taking part. There's all the back of the stage things that they can get involved with as well if it's something they're interested in. All the details of extracurricular activities and trips and things like that are all on the school website as well. But hopefully your child won't be just finishing at 3:05 and leaving. Hopefully they'll get involved in the wider school community as well, which we definitely encourage throughout their time at Ashby. Something that we pride ourselves on is positive behaviour and the rewards what we give to the students. So hopefully we can get the trips back on throughout the next 2 years, which the students have missed out on over the last 18 months or so. And what we do from a pastoral point of view, and form tutors and subject teachers, we are really hot on contacting home. Anything your child has done really well at, we either email, send a postcard or phone home. Okay, it's really important from a school perspective that we're giving you that feedback and rewarding the students from that. We have loads of end of term prizes, from edible sweets and chocolates to Amazon vouchers, and then some of the end of year prizes such as Amazon Kindles are up for grabs for various different things as well. The main thing is through positive points they get put on. You can see that on MCAS, each positive point equates to 10p. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but it soon equates and totals up. This can be transferred at the school shop for Amazon vouchers or stationery or anything that they wish from the school shop. But it's all, with all this in mind, the students do deserve that recognition when they are doing something well or they have improved in something, but it is all down to the personal benefits of the students. So are they getting that self-confidence boost when they get that reward? Hopefully they will be, but that's what we do. We want them to have that confidence boost so they can go off and reach their potential and be really successful in all their subjects throughout. Last couple of bits. So transport, we've touched on transport a little bit throughout the evening, but this is all to do with getting home and after extracurricular clubs. So we have late buses, free transport home Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. All the students need to do is ask for we call it a Q code to their form tutor, and then they'll get the transport home. They just need to go to the bus park gates.
Just a couple of things just to add in as well. It looks like some government guidance has been issued today that perhaps means that we might have a slightly staggered start to the new school term, because we'll have to carry out some lateral flow testing on students. We will put out some communication towards the end of this week if that's going to be the case, and we'll be doing that as a school. So just again, keep kind of those communication lines open. Just keep an eye out for some communication coming out from the school, and just bear that in mind that we might have a slightly staggered start to our return to school in August. We've had a couple of parents have just asked us regarding SEN needs and SEN requirements. I've replied to a couple of those individually. What I would say is towards the end of this PowerPoint is there's just a list of contacts, and one of those is our Senko one as well. So again, please just kind of drop them an email or just drop the school an email just regarding kind of the basic outline of your concern, and we can do that liaison. What typically happens is that Ashby School, the Senko from Ashby School would have been in communication with our feeder schools, and we'll already have had conversations regarding your child and what their needs and requirements are. So that information will already have been transitioned up to us. But I fully appreciate your kind of concerns that we want to make this a really smooth transition, which is a really important time for your children. Yeah, information will be emailed out this week, I believe, regarding kind of timetables and form tutors. So please keep an eye on your emails. and please use that.
And finally, like Mr. Binns has just mentioned, here's all the useful contact details which you may need throughout the course of the 2 years where your child is with us. It's all there. It's all on the school website as well. For a reminder, it is obviously going to be put onto this school website for you to revisit this PowerPoint as well. But if you do have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to pop them on the chat, give us an email at a later date throughout. But we do really hope your child is looking forward to joining us in August, and we'll have a real pleasant experience over the 2 years, and hopefully reach their potential and be a real successful 2 years with us.
Okay, then we're going to call it a day there. I've just had one last question just come in, just regarding MCAS and siblings. If you've got a child already in the school, you'll just have one MCAS login, and that will just pick up your second child or your third child onto MCAS. So you won't have separate logins if you've already got a child in the school and you've got a new one moving into the school this year. It just transitions across, so you'll just pick up both students off that one login details. I hope you've found it a useful evening, and this information has been useful to you. And if you've posted questions into the chat, we've managed to get those answered for you. If you do have any questions, we have an admin email box that you can just send any emails to. My name is Mr. Binns. I'm on the useful contact details, so by all means send me an email, and I'll get back to you with any of the detail that I can possibly do. Like I said, I hope you've found the evening useful, and we hope to see you and your children at some stage in the new academic year. Okay, take care, everybody.